Have you ever wondered, what does grace truly mean? How does redemption play a role in our lives? Our quest for answers takes us back to the early days of Christianity, to a man named Paul, once a persecutor, then a proclaimer of faith. Paul's letters to the early churches echo through the centuries, carrying messages of grace and redemption. Our first stop is the letter to the Ephesians, where Paul teaches us that grace is a gift. He writes, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God." This reminds us that grace, like any gift, is not earned or bought, it's freely given. In his letter to the Romans, Paul explores the concept of redemption. He writes, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus." Paul emphasizes that redemption is not about perfection, but about acceptance of grace. In his first letter to the Corinthians, Paul teaches about the transformative power of grace. He says, "By the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace to me was not without effect." Paul's life is a testament to this transformation, from a persecutor to a preacher of faith. The letter to the Galatians brings us Paul's teachings on living by faith. He writes, "I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me." This teaching reminds us that grace and redemption are not just concepts, but lived experiences, transforming us from within. Finally, in his second letter to Timothy, Paul reflects on the endurance of grace. He writes, "If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself." This powerful statement reminds us that grace is enduring, even when our faith wavers. So what do Paul's letters teach us about grace and redemption? They teach us that grace is a gift, freely given. Redemption is not about perfection, but acceptance of grace. Grace has the power to transform us, to live by faith and endure even when our faith wavers. These teachings remind us that grace and redemption are not just concepts, but lived experiences, transforming us from within. So, as we go about our lives, let's remember the teachings of Paul. Let's remember to accept the gift of grace, live by faith, and allow the power of redemption to transform us. Because, in the end, isn't that what grace and redemption are all about?